I was born in Deysbrook Lane, in a cottage in Deysbrook Lane. And so that ground has always been there. And it was a sports ground, for a school sports ground. And it's a big sports ground, and it was bounded by tall poplar trees. And then Liverpool took over the ground in my recall, 1956, and started the business of training there. From then on, you know, we've seen all the stars and the managers through the years. I was a Liverpool fan from the age of 10 during the war, and players used to be away with the whatever, Army, Navy or Air Force, and when they come home they would play probably for the nearest club to them. And I was taking, a friend of ours came home in the Army on leave, and he took me to see Liverpool at the age of 10, and that's how I started there and became a Liverpoolian, and a Liverpoolian ever since. I tell you, as lads, we used to scramble over that wall in Deysbrook Lane and get onto the field and have a kick about until that fella with the lawnmower came dashing across to chase us.
By the time, this is what, the late 60s, early 70s, by that time they weren't letting you in to walk around so much. It was, you'd sit on the wall on Crown Road, because the wall was like, is still, if you go down Crown Road, it's 10 foot high. So you climb up the lamppost and get onto the wall, and then at dinner time they'd let you in, and that was when you went round and got the autographs. And you know, the players were just sitting around most of the time, and you could do what, you know, you just could get anywhere. I mean, the thing I remember, I used to go with our next door neighbour Wezza. Well, you know Wezza's an Evertonian, and it must have been 1971. And Wezza said to me, "Hey, Tom, do you want to get this our new lad's autograph?" And I went, "Who?" He went, "Oh, I don't know, some kid called Kevin Keegan." And I went, "Nah, I can't be asked."
We moved here in 1984. In the summer. We used to live in Walton, and we moved up here, and my mum had been to view the property, and she was a bit unsure because all my friends were down in Walton, and I came up, and then he opened that back window, and there it was. We didn't look at the rest of the house, it was just that room. It sold it to me straight away, didn't it? You know, the dream come true, and it was from then onwards it all kicked off, really, wasn't it? To put a phrase, like, you know. But to look out that window and just see your idols are just running around the field, and it even got to an extent where he bought me a telescope so we could actually see the players close up, you know, because it was quite far away when they come out the pavilion, you know, from Crown Road. But yeah, we really enjoyed the early years when you could see everything going on.
They used to come from Anfield on a bus to Melwood, and then they go back to Anfield to get changed and showered or whatever. There's no facilities like they've got now, and they come out onto that Crown Road, get on the bus and back to Anfield.
One day we all got called down, and I know it must have been 71 because Tommy Lawrence was still there, and they were playing cricket, and the players got all the kids out just to feel for them. And I caught Alec Lindsay out here playing with a tennis ball, and Lindsay went, "Nah, fuck off, I'm not going." And Lawrence was like, "God, the kid got you out there, Alex, go." And that's one of my memories. But I think the thing was, it was that Shankly was the thing. Shankly just wanted the kids in, wanted the fans there. And I think it was when Paisley became manager, everyone thinks Bob was this avuncular, nice old man. He wasn't a nice man, but the fans were incidental to what was going on for Paisley. And then the sort of getting in was reduced a little bit. You didn't get in so often.
When all the players were training, the older generation like Ronnie Moran, Joe Fagan, Tom Saunders, and I think it was Jim Bennison, used to walk around while all the team were training, and they'd be walking and walking and walking and just talking to each other. That was their training regime, every day without fail. And these guys were in the 70s, 80s, you know, and it was just nice to see them. So, you know, just see everyone really just a joy to be where we are, and we're lucky.
But Ronnie Moran again, he used to come. Ronnie Moran had a heart problem, and he had the operations, and every morning he used to come down and walk around the ground just for exercise, and it was good. I used to watch him walking down on the Bevans lane side every morning, and to exercise, and he never troubled anybody. One occasion, Stevie Jenner was there, and he'd been training, and they had a chat together. And Stevie G apparently said to him, "Well, we've got a shirt and a pair of boots in there, Ronnie, if you fancy it." He said, "No," the old legs won't allow me. You used to get players like who were getting fit again. They'd put them with the younger teams to get fit, you know. And one such player was Jim Beglin. And that's how I came to be over there on a Saturday morning with my camera to get a picture of Jim Beglin. And up rolls Kenny in his car, came to us and asked us what the score was. And I said to my lad, "Would you like to have a picture with Kenny?" So he said, "Yeah." And Kenny, "Okay." and that was it. You know, that's the way it was. It was quite good, and there's no restriction on people like me, going to watch them.
But I remember, I think I told you, when we came up here, before we'd actually moved to West Derby, we lived down Scotland Road, and we made a pilgrimage up here in the Person Down Rain one day to get autographs. It was about 1963, 64. And we spent a whole day, me and a lad called John Joyce, an old schoolmate at the time. We came up with these Liverpool Echoes with a full team photo on the front, the old broadsheet. And when we get the players' autographs all day, and it was the old wooden pavilion, and we were trying to shelter in that, and it was really raining heavily, and even Alexa Ron Yates said to us, "Why don't you just go home?" Well, we don't know, we come for these autographs. And we got everyone's autograph. We got fellas like Phil Tinney and Phil Ferns, and you know, we sort of like these, even I think young lad called Leon Cooley.
Was the quill wet by the time you left?
Yeah, the quill had to be renewed a couple of times.
The Champions League, the fifth one, when they came home on the bus and parked right outside the back of my house, and we were all drunk and up ladders celebrating. We'd been to see them, you know, and on coming home, and Sammy Hippier, well, they were all drunk, weren't they? But Sammy Hippier was throwing scarves and t-shirts and hats and everything at us, and cheering and smiling, and it was just wonderful, which you're only going to get it here. It's unique to have that experience, you know.
We couldn't get Gordon Milnes, and Gordon Milnes, for some reason, blanked us. I think he was injured at the time. He was trying to get fit for the game. I think we were playing Leicester or someone in the league at the weekend, and he was trying to get fit for it, and he was going off with Bob Paisley and doing a bit of training by himself. But every time he approached him or he walked past, he just walked past us, and he wouldn't sign it. You know, and it developed this loathing for him ever since. He's a good footballer, by the way. They're all getting back on the coach to go back to Anfield, and Bob Paisley seen us, and he'd come down, he got off the coach, he said, "What are you doing? Why don't you just go home?" He said, "We're trying to get Gordon Milnes autograph." And he took the papers off us, and he went to Milne, "Yeah, I'm saying, he's trying to frickin' things for the lads and all that, you know, weird little accents." And then he come back, and we were made up with Paisley, because he's seen us like drowned rats. But Gordon Milne, like, bastard.
Once it goes, it'll change the area, and you don't think of it now. I know you think it'll be, you're not arsed now because you've had it for 50 odd years, but it's a strange area. It's all residential all the way down, and presumably before they built these in the 60s, it was fields, it was farmers' fields right the way up, and there was the Derby next door, but there was nothing on this side. And when that goes, this is just going to be any other road. So it's been a wonderful experience, Liverpool Football Club at Melwood, and I think it's sad to see they're having to leave to go to Kirby, you know.
It's Liverpool's training ground. When I was a kid, that was like, oh, Liverpool's training ground. I've got to go there, got to see where, you know, when Ian St John and Jimmy Mealy and Willie Stevenson and all them ply their trade on a daily basis. You know, don't go into the world of spirituality and all that about it, but people feel that it's something exceptional and special because of the people who've gone through its gates, the people who've worked there, the people who've, you know, created some happiness for football supporters.